I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist.
I'm Alicia Decker, co-founder of Mended.
And today we are talking about that therapists say. We reached out to our community on social media and said, what's the worst advice you've ever gotten from a therapist? And I was appalled. Absolutely appalled at the answers.
These things happen.
Where did they get these ideas? I look at these things and professionally I'm insulted. I'm like, no, you're not qualified to be helping anybody. So let's start with this one. Do whatever feels good. This was the advice somebody got from their therapist. I don't really have a lot of context. I can think of a lot of context in which somebody might say this. Every single one of them is misguided. Doing what feels good. Why? I mean, I don't know. It sounds pretty good on the surface of it.
So that's it.
Like that Sheryl Crow song, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad, right?
It makes you happy.
So you disagree. It doesn't even sound good on the surface of it. Why is that?
I mean, it depends on what your focus is in life. Like, if your focus is to be the best possible person you can be, it takes self-discipline.
Yeah.
It takes self-restraint. It takes honesty.
Those aren't
perseverance.
sexy words.
No, they're not. And I can't think of in any context when I've been in a challenging situation that inspired me to do better and be better, and my response is, I'm just going to do what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Now I want you to go home and look at your lives tonight. Look at your parents' lives. And ask yourself, do I want better?
And for whatever reason, like we really like the idea of doing whatever feels good, just like latching on. Like there's a TV show, I think there was. If there wasn't, I'm sure there's something close called Cheaters. Like I think it was a reality show or something like that. And there's not any shows called Faithful or Honesty, the series, right?
Humility.
Self-discipline. The motion picture, now a major motion picture, right?
Perseverance.
Yeah, why are we so drawn? I mean, I look at this and I'm just like, okay, we love the idea of pleasure, we love the idea of gratification, and we really, really want it without consequences. We want the food that's not fattening but tastes fattening. We want the scratch lotto to really pay off for us. We want casual sex to be fulfilling. We want to get drunk and send all our problems away and to have them stay there. Like, we want a bunch of quick fix stuff. And everybody knows that quick fix things don't work, and yet everybody tries the quick fix stuff. We are averse to difficulty and self-discipline. You are one of the few people I know who thinks of self-discipline and goes, that's hot. I dig that.
So you want all the results without the hard work?
I'm not saying me. Heavens no. Just people.
No.
Just no, I'm happy to do that hard work.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right.
In psychology, in my psychology courses, I learned about the id, the superego, and the ego. She didn't even take that psychology courses in college. She's just that damn smart. But the id is your base passions, your desires, right? Mm-hmm. I want sex, I want food, I want sleep, I want to go out and kill something, right? I want violence and like just all of these primal animal urges. This is what Freud talks about. Freud had some ideas that were whoo, but he was kind of onto something with this.
So these behaviors basically come from the lower brain.
Right, what some people call the animal brain.
Right, the reptilian brain.
Yeah, exactly, right? So just these base desires. And then we have the demands of a civilized, peaceful society. Mm-hmm. Morality, ethics, doing right by other people, having laws and following through with those laws. And so there's the id and there's the superego, and in the middle is where we duke it out. And according to Freud, we have marriage because we have sexual passions, but we also have a need for structure and society. And so the ego's solution would be,
So is there a need for love and respect and safety?
Not according to Freud, no.
Oh.
But he was... I'm not saying I'm Freudian. I'm just saying I think there is merit to the concept of like our more animalistic side and our higher side, and that constant struggle between the two, like the tug of war that happens. So your point is that we are our highest and best selves and our happiest selves the less we listen to the id.
Well, I'm hopefully didn't just take you out with my elbow.
No, I'm good. Her elbows are sharp though, so I was wary.
We live in a society of so many different perspectives, right? And I always go to the place of agency, of
A free will, yeah.
yeah, well, that we all have a choice. And so my question would be, where do you want to go in life? Like, what seeds are you sowing?
Yeah.
Because you have the ability to choose whatever choices you want to make. What you don't have the ability to choose is the consequences
Yeah.
of those choices. So if you're expecting to, have casual sex and have many different partners, but what you're looking for is love and connection and stability, like that behavior
They're at
doesn't match that outcome. And depending on your environment or your community culture or where you grew up, you might feel controlled by expectations, whether
Yeah.
it's your parents' expectations or prominent religion. And so taking all that aside, putting all the shoulds or the supposed to's or this is who you need to be a good person, I would ask, what is it that you want?
Yeah.
And if what you want is the outcome of the id,
Yeah.
if that's the outcome you want, go for the id. But if you're expecting to act in those, I don't even want to put a judgment on them, but if you're expecting to act in those ways,
Right.
giving the examples,
Gonna eat whatever I want. I'm gonna just live off of red meat, and I'm gonna have sex with anyone that I see that I can convince to have sex with me. And
Right. If
I'm
you're
and
gonna-
I'm gonna sleep as much as I can.
right? If you're going to do whatever makes you feel good, then you'll get a short-term hit of dopamine. You'll get that instant gratification, but what do you have after the instant gratification is over?
Yeah.
What do you have in your life that has meaning?
Yeah, well, it's a short-term gain for a long-term loss, right? And everything in life is making a choice. What door do I go in? And you sacrifice one thing to get another. And one thing that I tell people is doing right brings peace. Like doing the things like living in accordance with your values, and if you're looking to have connection and to live a life of integrity and morality, you have to sacrifice some things, because doing what's wrong, or what's either wrong according to your beliefs or according to society, or just according to, I just did something that hurt somebody else or caused them misfortune. When we do something that we feel is wrong, we get a little rush. You get a little rush from doing something wrong that you don't get as much from doing something right. If I work and I buy something from the store, I feel satisfaction, I feel pride, and I feel enjoyment of whatever I've worked for. If I steal it, then I get the thing, and I also get the little rush of I did something that was wrong. But the flip side is now there's a warrant out for my arrest, right? Or the flip side is even beyond what are the consequences, because maybe you never get caught, is what type of person are you? And what do you see when you look in the mirror? And this is one thing I love about how Alicia parents, is you say to our kids, I'm paraphrasing, but is this going to get you to who you want to be? Are you acting in accordance with who you want to be? And that is such a brilliant question, because even as children, they will stop and consider, what type of person do
Yeah.
I want to be?
So, if your child steals something from the grocery store, like my children have done, and you have to have that hard parenting moment of, how do I handle this? We've had many conversations of, what you did was dishonest. Do you want to be a dishonest person? And separating the behavior from the person. So I don't tell them, well, you are dishonest, because it was behavior. It was a one-time thing, or, hopefully a one-time thing.
With some of our kids, it was more than once. We've gotten very familiar with several store owners, let's put it that way.
But I don't want to see themselves in that behavior. And so having that conversation of, you were dishonest. Is that the kind of person you want to be? You were unkind. You were hurtful. You were a bully. Is that the kind of person you want to be? And, waiting for their response and waiting for their feedback. And I've never once had a child or anyone when asked that question, say yes, like I want to be dishonest, I want to be unkind, I want to be hurtful. They always say no, and then they're quite often in a place of shame and guilt, and so that isn't the time to rub in that shame and guilt. That's a time to give them hope.
Yeah.
And to ask them, well, what can you do to make it right? And
because they already
moving,
had the realization, so
Yeah.
you don't need to just hammer on it. Now we move forward.
because we all do disintegritous things at times,
Yeah.
but we can all move back to that place of integrity by recognizing what we did wasn't who we actually want to be, and seeking to make it right, whether that's offering an apology, asking for forgiveness, and seeking how to do that. When I was a teenager, I used to memorize sayings, and one of the sayings that I memorized, and I don't know who said it, was don't give up what you want most for what you want today.
Yeah.
And that takes a level of self-discipline and living in your frontal lobe, your midbrain and your frontal lobe, and not in your animal or reptilian brain.
Which isn't to say it's a life devoid of pleasure.
No.
What it is to say is it's a life of deliberate choices and well weighed and reasoned choices. I've worked with a lot of people in therapy over the years, and time again, I see when people live in the id, when they live in just doing whatever they want, that's where they push others away. They want close relationships, but by giving into their anger and just running with it, or giving into their lust and just running with it, or not pulling their weight because they'd rather just, they'd rather take the easy way out for right now. Like, it hurts their relationships and it hurts their ability to connect. And we're social creatures, and we shut those bridges down. When we only serve ourselves, we isolate ourselves.
Well, if you're the most important person in the relationship, there's no room for anyone else.
Yeah, it's very true.
I would say it atrophies your ability to connect.
Yeah, I can see that. There's an episode, and forgive me if me even bringing this up, people are going to be like, oh gosh, but there's actually a really smart episode of The Simpsons. No, just hear me out, where there's a self-help guru in town, and Bart, the little boy, says, I do what I feel like. That's what he says to the self-help guru, which is a play on what your brother says sometimes, just joking around when he's like, I do what I want, right?
Yeah.
And but Bart says, I do what I feel like, and the self-help guru runs with that, and soon the entire town is doing what they feel like, and they throw a big fair, and the Ferris wheel breaks down, and the bolts pop off, and it rolls away because the person who was supposed to do the maintenance didn't feel like doing it.
I didn't feel like it.
Right? And everything across the entire city, and all the relationships and all the businesses, everything either shuts down or is catastrophic because people only did what they felt like doing. And the point of it, of course, is that we do have a responsibility to the rest of society, to our family, to our friends. But that duty, that responsibility is joy. And that self-denial, even though it isn't sexy, self-discipline, even though it isn't exciting, is the path to the happiest life. They say no pain, no gain. That's true for fitness. It's also true for our relationships. When you lay things that you want right now on the altar and you sacrifice them for those in your life, and then they do the same in turn for you, that is where we have the building blocks for true connection.
And it's worth noting that what you just said is it has to be a two-way street. You can't have just one partner sacrificing and the other one just taking.
Yeah.
Because that creates an imbalance and not a safe relationship. But as long as you have both partners seeking to support and sacrifice the other, it creates that connection that can't be created any other way.
Lord, feed the hungry and bring peace to all of mankind.
Amen. Well, we want to thank you for joining us today. We also want to draw your attention to our other video, which is called
Helping men and boys be honest and accountable.
Now, if you like what we're doing here, please like, subscribe, and share. Click the bell so you get our every video that rolls out so you don't miss a thing. And who do you know that needs what we talked about today? Please pass this along.
And remember to keep shining. We need your light.